Hello friends, welcome to VCUSports.com's very new video of ScRAMbled. I am Kazie.
I'm Darnell.
And I'm Derrick.
And in this video, it's all about VCU men's basketball versus Dayton, sponsored by our good friends at Drink Virginia Beer. So let's ScRAMble. 73-68, VCU men's basketball has done it. They've gotten their win over the Dayton Flyers at the Sequel Center on a rambunctious crowd on Friday night. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on the game?
I think it was exactly what the Rams needed. Another top 50 win. It's going to look good in March, and it's going to, I think, offset maybe a few losses that happened earlier in the year that we talked about before.
Yeah, VCU was definitely in the need of a top 50 win going into that game against someone in the A-10 conference to, like you said, help offset those early A-10 losses. But, I mean, all in all, it's a good effort, and they were able to come back in that game and show some fight after being down early in the first half and be able to come back and then just put it on Dayton, especially on the boards. Justin Tillman, Hamdi.
To be fair, I was right about Hamdi. Just saying, I was right about Hamdi. Hamdi, I was right. I'm your homeboy. I got it. I was right.
Boy, you want a cookie?
I mean, I would. I mean, I'm kind of hungry.
Well, what did you guys think? The first half and second halves were very different. The first half, obviously, VCU went in trailing, and it didn't look so well for about 10 or so minutes. In the second half, it was way different. So what did you guys think about the first half?
I think Dayton came out with something to prove. They wanted to pound the glass. They basically went right through VCU and got straight to the basket, getting points in bunches, and then Tillman stepped up his game, and then everybody else on VCU was trying to get the paint presence down. But then the second half, like with that rambunctious crowd, you had the students, you had the dance team, you had like literally that whole crowd in Sequel Center was turned into the animal, like pure bona fide simple. And I think that emotional of the game and the players knowing how important it was to everybody in the arena, like they basically just stepped up and delivered.
Yeah, I think you could tell they knew it was an important one.
They were all important, but this one was really important. I mean, we changed some of our tendencies this week. We put a lot of time into it. I mean, just a couple of little things we did that ended up helping us, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the first half, I mean, VCU, at one point, we were looking at the game and we observed that Dayton, they were getting what they wanted at will. They were shooting upwards to 63% from the field at one point. It was a matter of just VCU trying to get the stops, and later as the game progressed, as the game wore on, that animal you mentioned that is the Sequel Center, it eventually set in, and that was when VCU was able to make their comeback. It was close going into halftime, even though within the first 15 minutes, Dayton looked like they were in full control of the game. In that second half, that's when things changed. VCU started to get going, especially down low, using that inside-out game, and Dayton just kind of wear down. It does help when you get one of Dayton's top players into foul trouble. Charles Cook had 4 fouls in that. Well, going into the second half.
Well, speaking of foul troubles, I think part of the issue in the first half was Mo and Hamdi sat a lot. They sat both of them large swaths of the first half with foul trouble. They didn't do much in the first half because they weren't in the game much. Hamdi, I believe, had 5 points and 3 rebounds in the first half. Not bad considering he didn't play much.
Right.
And then Mo came in the second half and he wasn't in a ton. I think he only played 21 minutes in the game total, but he made some big plays. And I think the biggest difference between the first half and the second half was in the first half, VCU was trying to get it down low, but they were not succeeding getting it down low. Whereas in the second half, in the press conference, what Wade said, we switched some things up, switched some schemes up, and they got it inside. In the second half, they were successful. And Tillman, Hamdi,
Justin Tillman show happened.
Had some big games.
Yeah.
Had some big games.
I mean, like we talked earlier, like Tillman has the capability of being a playmaker around the rim. And that showed big time in the second of Dayton when you saw that voluptuous, colorful hair of yours, like you explained earlier in the episode.
Yeah.
Like watching him soar through the air and like ramming the rim like repeatedly, like everybody getting pumped up. It's like you can't stop Tillman, especially when he's like that enraged on like breaking everything. And I mean everything.
Yeah, and that play where Johnny Williams went up for the layup, it missed everything, but Tillman basically was able to put it back. That basically exemplified what that game was down the stretch. Just Justin Tillman getting to the boards, VCU crashing them, and basically putting their will on Dayton.
8 offensive rebounds for VCU. That was a big way they scored in the first half when they couldn't really get the ball into the paint. They just kind of missed shots, not on purpose. but
course.
Tillman and Hamdi were getting putbacks off of offensive rebounds, so it was kind of an effective offense, not really sustainable. But then in the second half, like we said, they're able to get it inside. So, who are some of the big players? We talked about Tillman.
Crowfield, man, he was great defensively, took that charge. Probably an idiot for not playing him more before now, but it's all right. Better late than never. But he did a lot of really good things tonight. Dowdy, I mean, that's how Dowdy's been. He was efficient, gets to the foul line. It's a huge play where he chased down that loose ball and then went in there and laid it in. I think it gave us an 8 or 10 point lead right there. That was a big play. Those are the type plays that can swing the game. You know, it's an 8 point lead. Maybe they come down and cut it to 5 on a 3. Instead, we have a 10 point lead.
If you want to boast about Hamdi a little bit and his numbers, maybe now's the time.
I know you want to.
I mean, I was right. I mean, Hamdi did have a big game. I mean,
12 and 8, and he played, 15 minutes?
Yeah, 15 minutes, 12 points, off the bench,
good as
8
it gets.
rebounds, you know. Not another double-double, but, I mean, he got 2 double-doubles out of 4 games. I'm still counting that as a stat. And so, he's becoming into an offensive threat down low. Like, when VCU gets their paint presence, you now have seen multiple players. You got Tillman, you got Hamdi now, which, I mean, you give him credit now?
Certainly, we certainly have Hamdi now.
Come on, okay.
Certainly
I'll give him credit. He's been playing well as of late compared to where he was playing like early in conference play in toward the non-conference play. I will give him credit.
Maybe he struggled for a little bit, but I think we've been a little hard on him, Darnell and myself.
Yeah.
Going back to last year, I think he's
I
done
have.
well. He's an offensive low post player.
Hashtag Hamdi strong, just saying right here. I believe in you.
We support Hamdi. How about who else had a big game other than Tillman? We know Tillman, but who are some other key players in this game?
I really like the guard play of VCU, not so much Jaquan Lewis, but because he really was, I don't want to say completely ineffective, but he did not have his
He did not have
a solid
If he plays like
game.
that, normally VCU loses, which, by the way, I think speaks a lot about VCU right now, that they were able to beat Dayton without Jaquan Lewis. But yes, he struggled a little bit, but he did hit some big free throws down the stretch. Remember, we were talking during the game when VCU was up by 3 and he went to the free throw line, and you said something about if he misses one of these free throws and it's only a 4-point game. Remember that? What did you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, it just brought back memories of freshman year Jaquan, senior year Jaquan.
But guess what?
I mean, I'm pretty sure people know what happened.
Yeah.
We don't need to elaborate.
But he made both, in this situation, he made both free throws. VCU wins by 5. So, not a great game for Jaquan Lewis.
But Samir and also Johnny at times, they held down the guard position as well. But, I mean, you got to give most of the praise. You have to give most of that praise to the big man in that game. And Dayton is a small team, so you can, much like
they don't have one really
Kendall
imposing
Pollard,
big.
Yeah, Kendall Pollard is a good big for them.
He is a man.
Yeah, but that's all they have though. I mean, it's kind of where you miss Dashawn Pierre being down.
But Pollard is the man in Dayton.
VCU is such a deep team up front for A-10 teams to handle. They've got a lot of problems.
Yes.
But I just wanted to. Dowdy had a big game. I just wanted to say he had 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. So I just want to give him. We're talking about the front court. I want to give Dowdy some credit.
Yeah, and also more so to me on the defensive end to be able to only hold Charles Cook. He had 11, and Scoochie, I believe, had 10. But
if you can hold those guys to that,
yes, you're
doing
a good job in that aspect.
And then Mo also not a huge game. I mentioned it before.
But
8 points,
he
5 points.
played well down the
too.
stretch,
and he did have a big dunk that led to a Johnny Williams run out for 2, and then he had an interception along the baseline during one of VCU's runs because a couple times in the second half, I think Dayton had twice where they went 4 or more minutes without a field goal.
Especially at the end of that first half too.
I believe Mo is now getting accustomed to him having an actual help in the paint. Because, back in the past, it was like when you came in against VCU, it's like, all right,
double Mo,
this big guy with, muscles and braids, nice guy, very nice guy at heart, but like in the paint, you had to deal with him. And that was the only thing we had. Now we have, Tillman's growing up, Hamdi's there. Now you have all these other options. So if you just focus on the big guy and Mo, you're leaving all the other options open. So I think Mo's still getting adjusted to that at the moment.
Yeah, the front court, I think, proved for maybe the first time in a long time that they're capable of winning games for VCU, whereas before, it's just as a cultural thing for VCU. It's backcourt. It's guards. It's shooting. It's slashing.
Live by the
It's
3,
had it.
die by
Yes.
the 3.
But last Friday, it was the front court getting the job done against one of the best teams that VCU will play all year long, and that's really impressive to me.
And you just said live by the 3, die by the 3.
No,
They were 2 for 15 in that game with 3-point range. That's past VCU basketball.
Past VCU loses
Yeah,
that
Yeah,
game.
but it's good to
100%.
see that the 3 ball is not. They don't have to utilize.
that's
it.
what I was mentioning. Like, we used to be a live by the 3, die by the 3 type of team. Now that we're evaporating and getting used to zone defense, which
also-
we played it before.
Yeah.
We played it before.
That used to be a dirty word at
Yeah,
VCU.
you know, it
Yeah.
used to be like, oh, zone
Just
defense.
straight
no,
man.
throw it away.
We just
But,
played straight man.
Yeah, now we're playing like man, zone, like all these things that VCU is not supposed to do, but now we're playing it now, and now we're actually winning. So
Yeah.
now everybody's like, oh, we can do this. It's like, oh.
Yeah, and going back to what you said earlier, honestly, I was not that much of a fan of Coach Wade starting Tillman and Mo together. I really wasn't, because it cut down on floor spacing. In today's basketball, floor spacing is key. So you want to have shooters that can open up the court so that you can get down to your big man to operate one-on-one. But it is working very well.
It seems to be.
It
And
is working very
VCU,
well.
by the way, they don't have a ton of shooters.
They
So
don't.
I think it's worth it that you put those two. You've got Mo in there, and then you've got the athletic freak that we call Justin Tillman. Not that Mo's certainly an athletic freak.
in his zone. Yeah.
But what Tillman does, the way, I mean, how high he jumps, he gets his whole head above the rim. I mean, he's explosive. We've said it before. It's like he's on a trampoline when he jumps.
yeah,
So
and you
he-
have all these other
Yeah,
players.
having
feel
that
like you
athletic
just go,
ability
bam.
on the
up
court,
and you
yes,
see
having
what's
that
there.
athletic ability on the court, I think is never a bad thing. I know there's something to be said about creating space for your one big, but when one of those guys is Tillman, you've got to have him on the court.
It's like basically having aircraft's like, we are flying and we're landing. It's like, just get out the way. Just get out the way. He's gonna get it.
You know,
regardless,
some dunks. He and Mo are both get out of the way when they're about to slam it home.
basically.
Could you compare what game in the past would you compare this to? A game that VCU has won this way, where they all front court.
It's been nothing
There
comes to
aren't a
mind.
lot, right, there
To
aren't a lot of
be completely
contemporaries
honest,
for that.
nothing really comes to mind.
Yeah, I can't really look back and say that the front court, like the paint presence, was the main scoring force, and that's why we won.
I can say what Mo has been the one guy.
Yeah, you
that's
can say,
done
like-
it,
like,
but
man.
all in all, the whole
it like
entire
this.
front court,
Like the entire
no.
unit as one is like,
That's probably the
let's do this.
Even though they got in foul trouble, it's probably the best they played as one all year long. The one game I can remember where they did it was at home against Davidson last year, when I believe VCU hit like 2 or 3 threes in that game, which is really low for VCU. Is Melvin Johnson wasn't having a great night, but VCU was consistently like 10 points better than Davidson all night long
I was seeing
because
that,
they
I
were
believe.
beasting with Mo and Tillman and Hamdi underneath. But other than that, there aren't a lot of examples of VCU basketball in recent history, whether it's Wade or Shaka or whoever, dominating up front.
But this is why Wade wanted this to work. Like, his game plan was, I want to have a paint presence, and I want that ball to be fed right after tip-off. I want you to keep feeding it so that monster can be scoring, and everybody else will be like, oh, we gotta try to settle this. And then if we have a three-point threat and it's working
Kick it
on that
out.
night, we'll kick it out. Then you can score from anywhere. It's like, game over, give me the win.
Right,
Like 20 minutes. We got the win for me? Thanks. Just give it to me.
Yeah.
I'll take my win and I'm going.
I love to watch. It may not be considered as exciting as the old, just jacking up threes
It's not
all day.
exciting. It's not sexy.
I love a good
It's
dunk.
not- it's
I
not.
love a good dunk. I love a good hook
Yeah,
shot.
I will
though.
take a
I
top
love a
10
good hook
dunk
shot.
over.
But in today's basketball, the three-point shot, I mean, has basically become an equalizer. But to not have to rely on it, it
That's
says
huge.
a lot about your team.
We've seen VCU. We said they were a three-point shooting team in the past. We've seen them play consistently from 3, and you lose the game. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. Now, what do you guys think? We talked about the crowd as well. We touched on that. Where would you rank this crowd among VCU history crowds, games that you've
God.
attended? What do you
Oh,
think?
I feel like
See-
I'm gonna insult them. I feel like I'm gonna insult them.
Well, you
You're
go
not
first.
gonna insult
You
them.
go
No,
first.
I mean, it's just like some fans. I mean, if you look at it, some fans could. I don't think it. I think it was a great crowd, but at the same time, I've heard a lot louder. Trust me on that. I mean,
I've got a few that come to mind.
Butler.
Butler is one of them. And I think the only 2 rivals for me would be Butler and UVA, and only UVA pregame. Once that game got started,
Oh, yeah.
they suffocated VCU.
UVA took
and it
them
was
out.
not a great thing to watch, but it was electric pregame. That was the best. UVA was the best pregame. Butler's probably the loudest I've ever heard it.
And there have been some
during
good
the game.
Richmond games that have happened there where the crowd is into it. But I feel like this is such a subjective question where some fans,
That's why
they
it's
could
fun.
throw theirs out there.
Yeah, I mean-
and it's easy to argue.
Kazie, you go back a little bit more than Darnell.
Yeah, I was a fan in the stands that game. I felt a little bit like going back to CA days. It felt like a VCU was going against like ODU or like a Richmond, like back when the youth
Right, that
days
was-
of VCU. Like it was like rowdy atmosphere. Like the Rowdy Rams were into it. Like just being around Pov and like doing chest bumps with them during the starting lineup brought back memories. Not gonna lie, and also like seeing the bench. Like the bench, like usually you have the VCU bench players. They're like there.
Yep.
They're into the game. They love the game, but they were sitting there just like, God, this is like crazy. Like Samir was like even pumped up. Like they were just like all jumping around and everything. Like it felt like Alpha Prime Animal days, like CAA Animal days, and I loved it. It was great.
But Darnell wasn't very bullish on it. But where would you like so far this year?
I
I think it's probably one
I
of
would
the
think
best
that's
ones.
probably been the best crowd this so far.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
we had
what
this
about,
year,
what about
yes.
like last year? You'd rank it up against like what were the
last year
best crowd?
I can't really think
What
of it.
about Richmond maybe?
Richmond's always
Richmond's
live.
always pumped up, but I think this one was a tad bit louder than that.
It was.
Because it was two great teams. We needed a win. We needed a win. We did not have a mulligan. Like we had to hit the
Backs absolutely.
we had to
against the
hit it in. Like it's either do or die with the win, and we got the win done. It was a fist fight from beginning to end, and that second half, it was an emotional second half, and it literally brought out the best of everybody screaming. Like I saw, like so many people like jumping up and down on the west side, and then like people falling down with like 7 minutes to go, like gasping for breath, trying to get water, trying to keep going into the game. And I haven't seen that in like years. It was proud for me as a VC fan to watch.
So you'd rank it as one of maybe a top 5.
I would say
At least since the
arguably
UVA
a top
game
5.
probably. It's probably the
Arguably
biggest
a top 5 game.
atmosphere that VCU's had.
Arguably a top
Yeah,
5.
probably biggest game in the last couple of years.
And that was in 2014, the UVA game. So that's saying something that's going pretty far back.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, also another game we can throw out there. Remember few years ago, this was my sophomore year, so about 3 years ago, St. Louis when
St.
they
Louis,
came to town.
they were 10.
top
They were ranked
10
10.
at the time.
But the problem with that was they were coming off a loss. St. Louis was coming off a loss.
But
So
they
it
were
was,
still
it was a
top
big
10.
deal. But if
8-10
they
champions
hadn't just
too.
lost to one of the lower
it
teams
was
in the
Duquesne. They
conference,
lost
right.
there. No,
Right.
George Mason. They lost there on a Thursday and had to come back down here on the Saturday, which was when
But it
that
was
game
still a
happened.
big game because
It was a big
still
game.
last.
But
Yeah.
not as big as I think it could have.
And also,
Correct.
like, I will always say this, the loudest I've ever heard Siegel Center gotten. The Thriller and the Chiller, 4
St.
years ago,
Joe's.
St. Joe's,
Yep.
when Troy Daniels hit that three after being down for most of that game. When he hit that three, I never heard that crowd go from so silent, so
so
quiet,
So the
to
roof
so
being,
loud.
Like, the roof was probably obliterated.
In
after the
a
night.
flash.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was, and someone has it up on YouTube, so you
Yeah,
can
you
go
can go
back
watch
to
it.
that
You can go
game.
watch it.
I remember it was a CBS Sports game, but you can go back. But you can go
You don't
back
need
on
to type
YouTube.
that into YouTube, you
Someone
can probably-
put that up and just watch it. Just watch it from the end of that fourth quarter through the whole entire
from when Troy
overtime
Daniels
period.
hits the three and at the near like with 30 seconds left. And
Yep,
then people
Diaz
forget-
had a
right.
layup.
Diaz had a layup. As
And they were
time
down
expired.
before. They probably should have lost the game, but it didn't happen.
That was definitely a big one. I think the other one I would throw in there, the lightest moment, Butler, Briante dunk,
Oh god, yeah.
right?
The
Yeah.
fact that I
That
can
instant.
literally hear Siegel from Cary Street. Like I was like on Cary Street like a couple of bars watching the game.
Oh, you didn't make it?
Nah, I didn't make it. I camped out for the game. I was in Shockville at the time, kids, because, we had a guy named Shockville for Wade's World. Anyway, I'm old.
This was before we had the big screen at the top. This is before. Some of you new kids, you don't know about this.
Or a lot of the
okay?
luxury
That big board up there,
Hashtag
it wasn't
respect
there.
the struggle.
Yes.
And then the grainy scoreboards we had
Yes.
to watch.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Classic times.
Yeah, the
Struggle.
good old days.
But yeah, it's like that game, like the whole atmosphere, like Shockville, like all the kids like camped up, like everybody was pumped up at this game. It was. So it's VC versus Butler. It was like the dream mid-major matchup, and it finally came
Final
to reality.
Four.
Yep.
Right. It's like Final versus Final Four. Who's the better team?
The
And
long year Butler and VCU and the A-10 at the same time.
and then Breonte Weber gets a steal and does the dunk that basically has been a VCU photo memory for.
Poor Roosevelt Jones.
Is he still playing at Butler? He was playing for a long time. I
Nah,
imagine he graduated from
he's
that.
like the Perry Ellis of that university.
I
He's just
couldn't
there
believe that
forever.
He was there. He was around a long time.
Yeah, I think he's gone now.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? He might be coaching.
The possibilities.
Yeah.
Thank you guys and girls for watching our latest episode of ScRAMble. Please share your input, comment, and black and gold goodness in our comment box here on this video. Also, hit us a like on Facebook on VCU Sports. Hit us up on Twitter at VCU Sports and like our beautiful pictures and images on Instagram at VCU Sports RVA. For any more information on stuff on us, you can follow our personal accounts. For example, moi is on at ShadowKazie on Twitter.
My name is Darnell. I'm at I Like Darnell.
And I'm at Derrick Marion.
We survived 2 episodes! Yeah!
Don't cancel us yet.